What if we told you that some of the most beautiful black women in Hollywood no longer look anything like the icons we once adored? From soulful singers to fierce actresses, these 19 stars were once praised for their natural beauty, but plastic surgery left them nearly unrecognizable. Was it fame, fear, or the industry's twisted standards that pushed them to change? What happened to aging gracefully? Stick around, because what you're about to see may shock you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, where we reveal the truth behind the glow-up and the fall. Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams was once the epitome of timeless, natural beauty. Born on March 18, 1963, she shattered racial boundaries when she became the first black woman to win the Miss America crown in 1984. Her reign was cut short due to a scandal involving unauthorized nude photos, but Vanessa rebounded with a powerful career in television, film, and music, starring in hits like Soul Food, Eraser, and Ugly Betty, where she portrayed the fierce and glamorous Wilhelmina Slater. As the years progressed and Vanessa approached her 50s, the pressure to maintain her youthful allure in a youth-obsessed industry grew intense. According to various industry observers and beauty insiders, she underwent a series of cosmetic procedures beginning in the late 1990s. Her first known intervention was a rhinoplasty, which subtly narrowed her nose and lifted the bridge. Initially, the results were praised for their refinement. However, things began to escalate in the 2010s. Viewers noticed her facial volume changing, particularly in her cheeks, which appeared unnaturally plump. Botox smoothed her forehead, erasing fine lines but also softening her signature expressive brow. Lip fillers followed, adding a fullness that disrupted the delicate balance of her once striking features. By 2020, critics and fans alike pointed out that Vanessa's face had taken on a slightly inflated appearance, lacking the warm, dynamic expressions that had once defined her screen presence. Today, while she remains confident and active in public life, her face has been described as overdone, with a glossy finish and stiffness that photographs can't hide. Vanessa Williams didn't disappear, but her original face, the one that once symbolized trailblazing beauty, slowly faded beneath a pursuit of flawlessness that many now believe went too far. Vivica A. Fox. Vivica A. Fox, born July 30, 1964, was once one of Hollywood's most glamorous and in-demand black actresses. Known for her roles in blockbuster films like Independence Day, Set It Off, and Soul Food, Vivica was praised for her sharp cheekbones, radiant smile, and fierce charisma. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, she stood out as a rare blend of sex appeal and dramatic depth. But by the time she reached her early 40s, Fox faced a challenge common in Hollywood: the industry's merciless disregard for aging women. To stay visible in an environment obsessed with youth, she turned to cosmetic enhancement. She admitted in interviews to using Botox, but photos across the mid-2010s suggested far more extensive changes. Her once naturally contoured face grew puffy with dermal fillers, especially in the cheeks and jawline. Her lips thickened dramatically, giving a pillowy look that many felt didn't suit her facial structure. Her appearance at the 2016 BET Awards stunned fans, not because of her red carpet presence, but because her face appeared unnaturally tight, with eyebrows arched from excessive Botox and a lack of movement in her smile. Critics noted that her expressions had become limited, undermining her natural ability to emote on screen. Fox has since defended her choices, stating that her tweaks help maintain confidence and relevance. Yet, many argue that the procedures altered the face that fans had fallen in love with decades ago. The vivacious spark that once animated her performances seems overshadowed by a synthetic exterior. Vivica A. Fox remains a hard-working entertainer, but her journey reflects a painful truth in show business: sometimes the fight to stay youthful doesn't preserve your image, it replaces it with something unrecognizably artificial. Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams, born July 18, 1964, carved her path not as an actress but as a bold, controversial talk show host who became a cultural force. With her towering frame, commanding voice, and no-holds-barred commentary, Wendy became a household name through The Wendy Williams Show. But off-camera, she struggled with an obsession to reshape herself to fit the beauty ideals of television. Her cosmetic journey began in the 1990s with breast implants, which she has publicly acknowledged. She also underwent liposuction and a tummy tuck to slim her waistline. Over the years, her procedures expanded to include Botox, facial fillers, and a rhinoplasty that changed the structure of her nose. These enhancements were done to create a more refined look, one that Wendy believed television demanded. By the 2010s, however, viewers noticed how drastically her appearance had shifted. Her cheeks appeared unusually firm, her lips unnaturally plump, and her facial movement became limited. On-air expressions, once animated and full of personality, began to look frozen. Fans commented that she looked like a porcelain version of herself. Her heavily arched eyebrows and smooth forehead suggested repeated Botox sessions. In 2020, as her health declined due to Graves' disease and lymphedema, the contrast between her medical struggles and her maintained cosmetic enhancements drew more attention. The visible strain on her body clashed with a face that looked polished to the point of artificiality. Today, Wendy is often seen as a cautionary figure, a woman whose desire to reinvent herself for fame's sake resulted in a look that many say stripped away her identity. While her influence on pop culture remains strong, her altered appearance reminds us that the standards placed on black women in media are not only harsh, they can be devastatingly deforming. LisaRaye McCoy. LisaRaye McCoy, born September 23, 1967, captivated audiences in the late 90s with her breakout role in The Players Club. Her light complexion, almond eyes, and sensual demeanor made her an instant sex symbol. Off-screen, she carried herself with grace and confidence, often hailed as one of the most naturally stunning black women in Hollywood. But after her high-profile divorce from Michael Misick, former premier of the Turks and Caicos Islands, in 2008, a marriage marred by accusations of infidelity and scandal, LisaRaye's public image took a hit. Behind the scenes, the emotional toll seemed to push her toward physical reinvention. Around 2010, subtle changes in her face sparked speculation about plastic surgery. The first notable alteration was to her nose, which appeared narrower and slightly elevated. Over time, her chin became more pronounced, and her once soft cheeks developed an exaggerated fullness suggestive of filler injections. Her signature smile, once warm and effortless, became taut, as if her skin had been overstretched. Fans pointed out that her jawline seemed unnaturally sharp, possibly due to buccal fat removal or facial sculpting procedures. Her public appearances from 2015 onward showed a woman transformed. Critics noted that her facial proportions had changed dramatically, leading to a look that some called manufactured. What once felt sultry and genuine now appeared curated and forced. LisaRaye never publicly confirmed all her procedures, but the changes are undeniable. In chasing an idealized version of herself, perhaps in an effort to regain power after personal betrayal, she altered the very features that made her iconic. Her story underscores how fame, heartbreak, and Hollywood pressures can intersect to reshape not just a career, but a face. Nene Leakes. Born December 13, 1967, Nene Leakes rose to fame as the breakout star of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. With her commanding voice, sharp wit, and larger-than-life personality, she quickly became the face of Bravo's reality TV empire. But as her fame skyrocketed, so did the scrutiny over her appearance. In 2010, Nene underwent her first publicized cosmetic procedures, including rhinoplasty and a breast lift. She later admitted to liposuction as well. At first, the changes were modest, refreshing her image without overwhelming her natural features. But as time wore on, and as her career moved into scripted TV roles like Glee and The New Normal, the pressure to maintain a flawless look intensified. By the mid-2010s, fans noticed her face growing noticeably tighter. Her cheeks, once soft and natural, appeared puffed from fillers. Her lips swelled into an artificial pout. Botox left her forehead so smooth that her signature expression seemed muted. During appearances after her husband Greg's passing in 2021, she emerged with even more facial work, prompting concerns that grief and fame had pushed her into overcorrection. What began as enhancement turned into transformation. Side-by-side photos of Nene from 2009 to 2023 show a woman with drastically different bone structure, eyebrow placement, and jawline. While she remains unapologetic and empowered, even embracing the term glow up, many believe her original beauty, strong, relatable, and authentic, was lost in the pursuit of staying relevant. Nene Leakes is still a commanding force, but her image today reflects not just success, but the silent pressure that forces black women in entertainment to surgically chase youth and perfection. Kim Fields. Kim Fields, born May 12, 1969, became a beloved household name as Tootie on The Facts of Life, and later as Regine on Living Single. With her infectious smile, curly pigtails, and sparkling eyes, she embodied youthful energy and natural charm throughout her early career. But transitioning from child star to adult actress proved difficult in an industry that rarely gives second chances, especially to black women. When Fields re-entered the spotlight in the mid-2010s, joining The Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2015, she found herself surrounded by women with surgically sculpted faces, flawless complexions, and exaggerated features. The comparison was inevitable and unforgiving. Not long after her season aired, subtle but significant changes began appearing in Kim's look. By 2017, her cheeks appeared fuller, likely due to dermal fillers. Her smile lost its spontaneous quality, replaced with a taut, almost waxy effect that dulled her signature expression. Her upper lip, formerly narrow, looked plumped. Critics noted a loss of natural asymmetry, often a sign of excessive Botox and contouring procedures. What made her charming, a radiant, expressive face, was slowly replaced by a rigid, photogenic version that lacked depth. While Kim never publicly addressed any procedures, fans speculated that her effort to keep up with the reality TV aesthetic pushed her into unwanted territory. She began to fade from public view again, perhaps in discomfort with the new version of herself that didn't feel, or look, like the girl fans grew up with. Though she still occasionally acts and directs, the once spontaneous spark that defined her career now feels overshadowed by cosmetic restraint. In the pursuit of industry survival, Kim Fields may have unintentionally sacrificed the very authenticity that made her a star in the first place. Tikaina Arnold. Tikaina Arnold, born June 28, 1969, is best remembered for her role as Pam on Martin, where her wit and physical comedy made her a fan favorite. She later won over a new generation with her portrayal of Rochelle in Everybody Hates Chris, showcasing raw comedic timing and motherly strength. With her naturally bold features and expressive face, Tikaina needed no cosmetic enhancement to steal scenes. But once her sitcom era waned, Arnold faced what many aging black actresses endure: vanishing roles and unrelenting expectations to remain camera-ready. Around 2015, subtle changes to her facial appearance began drawing attention. Her nose, previously round and proportional, appeared narrower and more angular, a possible rhinoplasty. Fans were surprised, not by the surgery itself, but by how drastically it shifted the balance of her face. After a very public divorce and personal betrayal in 2016, Arnold seemed to undergo further transformation. Her cheeks, once defined by natural bone structure, appeared filled and overly smooth. Her skin took on a glossy finish, possibly from laser treatments or repeated Botox injections. The once familiar smile that conveyed warmth and sarcasm now seemed immobile, almost disconnected. By 2018, red carpet appearances revealed a woman with frozen features, still beautiful, but less recognizable. While Arnold never confirmed any cosmetic work, her evolving appearance tells a story of survival in an industry where aging is seen as failure, especially for women of color. Her journey reflects a greater tragedy: even women known for talent and authenticity are pushed toward reinvention. Tikaina Arnold, once a beacon of unfiltered black womanhood on screen, became yet another example of Hollywood's pressure to conform, even when it means erasing your own face. Trina McGee. Trina McGee, born September 6, 1969, made history as Angela Moore on Boy Meets World, the first recurring black female character in the show's long run. With her refined beauty, soft voice, and mature on-screen presence, she stood out in a predominantly white cast and instantly became a fan favorite. But after the series ended in 2000, Trina's career began to fade from the public eye. The role stopped coming. Following a divorce in 2003 and years of professional stagnation, she made headlines again, but not for acting. Around 2010, Trina returned to public view with a noticeably altered appearance. Her nose, once slightly rounded, had become sharply narrow with an upturned tip, a sign of aggressive rhinoplasty. Her cheeks, once subtly contoured, appeared unnaturally elevated and tight, likely the result of cheek implants or excessive fillers. Botox smoothed away her expressive brow lines, leaving her face with an odd, uniform stillness. Her upper lip also appeared overfilled, contributing to an unbalanced appearance. In interviews, Trina emphasized that Hollywood had little room for aging black actresses, especially those with Afrocentric features. Her drastic changes seemed to reflect a painful truth: to stay relevant, she had to erase the very features that made her representation so impactful. Fans were stunned when she appeared at 90s fan conventions in the late 2010s. While her voice remained the same, her face did not. The subtle elegance that once defined her now felt buried under surgical excess. Though she's since taken a step back from the spotlight, Trina McGee's transformation remains a stark example of how the pressure to conform can rob even the most promising stars of their identity. LaToya Jackson. LaToya Jackson, born May 29, 1956, is best known as a member of the iconic Jackson family. Unlike her siblings Michael and Janet, LaToya never reached superstardom in music, but she made headlines for her tabloid-worthy lifestyle and changing appearance. Her transformation began in the late 1980s and is among the most extreme and tragic examples in celebrity plastic surgery history. Her first known procedure was a rhinoplasty around 1987. What was intended as a minor refinement became the start of a dramatic unraveling. Subsequent surgeries made her nose increasingly narrow and fragile. By the early 2000s, it had collapsed into a straight, unnaturally pinched shape, almost identical to her brother Michael's later look. LaToya also augmented her chin and cheeks with implants, giving her face a pointed, mask-like quality. Her skin appeared stretched, taut, and overly smooth, lacking the natural textures of aging. At red carpet events, fans noted that her once soft and balanced features were now stark and alien. The sparkle in her eyes seemed overwhelmed by cosmetic fatigue. Her personal life mirrored her physical transformation. Trapped in an abusive marriage to Jack Gordon, who forced her into degrading photo shoots and isolated her from her family, LaToya turned to surgery as a form of escape and control. Unfortunately, it only deepened the loss of her individuality. Even today, as she remains active in interviews and reality TV, many viewers struggle to reconcile her current appearance with the soft-spoken, fresh-faced woman they once knew. LaToya Jackson's story is a painful reminder. When beauty is treated as a performance, the line between reinvention and self-erasure can disappear, just like the face in the mirror. Patti LaBelle. Born May 24, 1944, Patti LaBelle is a musical icon whose voice transcends generations. Known as the godmother of soul, her unmatched vocal power and regal presence made her a beloved figure in music and beyond. For decades, her striking beauty, defined by high cheekbones, expressive eyes, and commanding confidence, matched the richness of her voice. However, as she reached her 60s, the legendary singer's appearance began to change. In 2005, after her 30-year marriage to Armstead Edwards ended, public appearances showed signs of cosmetic intervention. Her once rounded nose appeared noticeably slimmer and lifted, suggesting rhinoplasty. The change was subtle at first, but in later years, her facial features appeared increasingly taut and puffy, likely from dermal fillers and Botox. By the late 2010s, fans began to express concern. Patti's cheeks took on an inflated quality, her lips appeared overdrawn, and her skin lacked the natural softness of aging. The sparkle in her eyes was still there, but surrounded by skin too smooth to move freely. Her warm, animated facial expression seemed muted under layers of enhancement. To her credit, Patti never publicly confirmed specific procedures, but industry experts and longtime fans couldn't ignore the visible shift. The woman who once captivated audiences with both voice and presence now stood as an example of how even the most confident legends can succumb to beauty pressures. Though Patti still delivers powerhouse performances, her face tells a different story, a visual timeline of trying to hold on to youth in an industry that equates aging with fading relevance. Her transformation, while less extreme than others, is a cautionary note in the symphony of stardom. Even icons aren't immune to the desire to look timeless, even at the cost of their natural grace. Lil' Kim. Born July 11, 1974, Lil' Kim broke barriers as one of the first female rappers to embrace explicit sexuality and fashion-forward boldness in hip-hop. Her debut album Hardcore, 1996, established her as a trendsetter with a curvy figure, brown skin, and a face full of personality. But behind the glam, Kim battled insecurities and toxic relationships that chipped away at her self-image. By the early 2000s, after years of emotional abuse from former partner the Notorious B.I.G. and repeated industry criticism, Kim began a series of drastic surgeries. Her nose was the first to change, slimmed and lifted in a way that erased much of her original facial character. Soon after, fans noticed her skin tone lightening, which she attributed to makeup, but critics linked to possible chemical treatments or bleaching. In the years that followed, she altered nearly every visible aspect of her appearance. Cheek implants puffed out her midface, Botox smoothed her skin to a porcelain-like texture, and lip fillers expanded her pout to unnatural dimensions. By 2013, her look had transformed so dramatically that online commentators often referred to her as unrecognizable, and not as a compliment. Lil' Kim has since spoken about her struggles with body dysmorphia and emotional trauma, revealing that she never felt pretty enough for the industry she helped shape. While her style and confidence remain iconic, her appearance has been widely discussed in the media as one of the most dramatic plastic surgery transformations in hip-hop. Once known for breaking barriers, Lil' Kim has now become a symbol of how fame, trauma, and relentless judgment can push even the strongest figures into reshaping themselves beyond recognition. Sandra "Peppa" Denton. Born November 9, 1969, Sandra Denton, better known as Peppa from the legendary hip-hop duo Salt-N-Pepa, was known for her sharp features, edgy style, and magnetic charisma. Her natural beauty and rebellious confidence helped define an era of empowered women in rap, especially during the group's prime in the late 1980s and 1990s. But as the spotlight dimmed and younger artists took center stage, Peppa began to update her look in ways that ultimately backfired. Around 2007, she reportedly underwent a nose job meant to refine her bridge. Instead, the results left her nose looking pinched and asymmetrical. Attempting to correct it, she underwent revision surgeries, which only made things worse. To balance out her increasingly delicate nasal structure, Peppa turned to fillers, particularly in the cheeks and lips. Unfortunately, the procedures gave her face a swollen, unbalanced appearance. Her once striking jawline softened, and her cheekbones took on an artificial roundness that didn't align with her natural features. The contrast between her old and new look became a hot topic on social media and gossip outlets. In candid moments, Peppa has acknowledged the pain of aging in an industry that often discards women over 40. She's also spoken about her desire to feel relevant and fresh, but the results of her cosmetic choices ironically made her more of a spectacle than a symbol of empowerment. Fans who once praised her boldness and beauty were left questioning why such a radiant figure felt the need to alter herself so drastically. Sandra "Peppa" Denton didn't disappear, but her transformation marked a sad turn from powerful trailblazer to an unfortunate reminder of how cruel public expectations can be toward aging black women in entertainment. Tyan T-Boz Watkins. Born April 26, 1970, Tyan T-Boz Watkins was the soulful heartbeat of the record-breaking girl group TLC. Her raspy vocals, platinum blonde curls, and smooth, grounded beauty made her a cultural icon during the 1990s. Alongside Left Eye and Chili, T-Boz helped define a generation of music, fashion, and female empowerment. But behind the success, T-Boz endured lifelong battles with sickle cell anemia and the emotional fallout of Left Eye's death in 2002. These hardships, combined with aging and industry pressure, eventually led her down the path of cosmetic alteration. Around 2005, observers noticed a shift in her appearance. Her nose, once soft and round, appeared smaller and sharply contoured, suggesting rhinoplasty. Cheek fillers followed, adding volume but removing the subtle balance that once framed her face. By 2010, her lips appeared fuller and less mobile, and Botox smoothed out her brow lines to the point of near rigidity. While her voice remained intact, her facial expressions became increasingly subdued. On stage, her eyes didn't shine the way they once did. Her face, often frozen in an artificial calm, no longer reflected the depth of her music. Though T-Boz never confirmed specific surgeries, her transformation was plain to see. Her evolving image became symbolic of something deeper, a woman who had fought for her life and her art, yet still couldn't escape the invisible requirement to look the part. In her pursuit to stay visible, she sacrificed some of the natural authenticity that made her a legend. T-Boz remains respected for her resilience and contributions to music, but her changing face serves as a visual reminder that even the strongest can be reshaped by both trauma and societal pressure. Foxy Brown. Born September 6, 1978, Foxy Brown, born Inga Marchand, was once hailed as the female Nas. Her rapid-fire bars, unapologetic energy, and exotic beauty made her a staple of 90s hip-hop. Known for her almond-shaped eyes, golden brown skin, and sharp cheekbones, Foxy was magnetic both on and off stage. But after a string of legal troubles, including an assault conviction and a nearly career-ending diagnosis of sudden hearing loss in 2005, her public image began to fade. When she re-emerged in the 2010s, fans noticed drastic changes to her face. Her nose appeared more refined and narrow, and her lips were fuller than before, indicating probable rhinoplasty and injectable fillers. Her cheeks were also noticeably rounder, giving her a bloated, statuesque look that contrasted sharply with the edgy, natural Foxy fans once knew. Her skin tone appeared lighter in certain photos, leading to speculation about bleaching or excessive lighting/editing. More alarming, though, was the lack of emotion in her facial movements. What used to be fierce became stiff and unreadable. Foxy never addressed the rumors head-on, but her public appearances became increasingly rare. When she did return, like during short guest performances, audiences fixated less on her lyrics and more on her visibly altered appearance. The woman who once embodied raw, streetwise beauty now bore the trademarks of someone who had tried to reconstruct herself to match industry trends that didn't honor her originality. Foxy Brown didn't just fall from fame, she resurfaced as someone fans barely recognized, her natural features sacrificed to the silent rules of appearance that govern so many in entertainment. Trina. Born December 3, 1978, Katrina "Trina" Taylor became the queen of Miami hip-hop with her fierce persona and curvaceous figure. Debuting on Trick Daddy's Nan Nigga and soon dropping her hit album Da Baddest Bitch in 2000, Trina embraced body confidence and raw femininity long before it was a mainstream brand. Her natural curves, caramel complexion, and bold features made her a standout. However, as the music industry evolved, particularly with the rise of hyper-enhanced physiques in the 2010s, Trina began altering her look to remain competitive. Around 2013, fans noticed that her signature curves had become more exaggerated. Her hips appeared wider and more sculpted, while her rear showed signs of augmentation consistent with Brazilian butt lifts, BBLs. Unfortunately, the procedures seemed uneven. Photos and footage suggested lopsided proportions, with one side of her glutes visibly higher than the other. Her once harmonious figure now appeared surgically distorted, especially noticeable during live performances and red carpet events. Her face also changed. Once smooth and balanced, it now bore signs of fillers, her cheeks plumper, her lips fuller, and her eyes slightly lifted. Her skin took on a tight, almost waxy quality, muting her once expressive look. Trina never publicly confirmed the full extent of her cosmetic work, but she did acknowledge the pressures of comparison in a culture obsessed with perfection. In trying to compete with newer artists like Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, her transformation became a reflection of the era's impossible beauty standards. Today, she's still respected as a pioneer in Southern rap, but her original appearance, which exuded raw sex appeal without excess, has been overshadowed by interventions that prioritized size over symmetry and pressure over authenticity. Nicki Minaj. Born December 8, 1982, Nicki Minaj redefined female rap with her 2010 debut Pink Friday, becoming a fashion icon and lyrical force. Her original look, high cheekbones, almond eyes, and a naturally curvy frame, was both distinct and marketable. But as her fame soared, so did the evolution of her appearance. Nicki's transformation has been gradual but unmistakable. Early in her career, her backside grew dramatically, widely believed to be the result of one or more BBL procedures, although she initially denied it. Later, she confirmed in interviews that she had received enhancements but declined to share details. As her figure expanded, her waist stayed unnaturally narrow, creating the now iconic hourglass extreme silhouette that many critics say influenced the current BBL trend. Facially, Nicki's features also shifted. Her nose appears more narrow and pointed than in earlier photos, suggesting rhinoplasty. Her cheeks look fuller and higher, likely the result of volume-enhancing fillers. Her lips, once modestly shaped, now boast a noticeably plumper pout. In music videos and red carpets, the contrast between old and new Nicki is stark. While her persona remains animated, her facial expressions appear more controlled, possibly due to Botox. Her once round eyes now look more cat-like, a possible result of blepharoplasty or non-surgical thread lifts. While Nicki maintains a loyal fanbase and cultural dominance, her transformation has sparked debate about the message it sends to young black women. Is she a fearless shapeshifter owning her image? Or a victim of a fame machine that demands constant reinvention? Whatever the answer, Nicki Minaj's look today bears little resemblance to the fierce, fresh-faced rapper who once captivated the world with nothing more than her words and presence. In a world where fame magnifies every flaw, is it any wonder these women turn to surgery in search of perfection? But at what point does enhancement become erasure? These 19 black actresses and performers, once celebrated for their distinct beauty and cultural impact, now serve as controversial examples of how far one might go to stay relevant. Some argue they exercised their right to control their image, others see their transformations as tragic losses of authenticity. So, what's your take? Are these women victims of a broken system, or are they simply redefining beauty on their own terms? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, respectfully. And if you found this story compelling, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence. Because behind every spotlight is a story, and we're here to tell it, unfiltered.